You experience a bird strike during climb out and notice aircraft controls feeling sluggish. Maintain control of the aircraft. Test the controls at different airspeeds to assess your ability to control the airplane upon landings. Assess the extent of the damage. Communicate with ATC and return to the airport for an emergency landing. 14 CFR 91.3. You are conducting a cross-country flight and encounter an unexpected low-level wind shear during your descent. What steps should you take to maintain control? Maintain airspeed above normal approach speed. Be ready to adjust pitch and power rapidly and be prepared for a go-around. 14 CFR 91.3. During a flight over water, you experience a total engine failure. What steps should you take? Maintain best glide speed, declare an emergency, transmit your location, secure the cockpit, review POH ditching procedures, and prepare for a water landing. With time available, troubleshoot the engine to try to get it started. Proper prior planning would have meant you brought adequate survival equipment on board for such a situation. 14 CFR 91.3. While cruising, you encounter unexpected icing conditions and the airframe begins to accumulate ice. What actions should you take? Activate de-icing or anti-icing equipment if available. Change altitude and turn around to exit icing conditions. Or turn around to exit icing conditions. Communicate with ATC for vectors to warmer air and monitor airspeed and control response. Prepare for off-field landing if icing conditions cannot be exited. 14 CFR 91.3. What is the I am safe checklist and how is it used? The IMC checklist is used to assess a pilot's fitness for flights. I, illness. M, medications. S, stress. A, alcohol. F, fatigue. E, emotions and eating. For flying, pre-flight yourself using the I am safe checklist. PHAC 1718. How does dehydration affect a pilot's performance? Dehydration can cause fatigue, dizziness, and impaired cognitive function, negatively impacting a pilot's performance. PHAC 17-14. What is hyperventilation and what causes it? How can it be remedied? Hyperventilation is excessive breathing leading to a decrease in carbon dioxide levels in the blood, often caused by anxiety or stress, drastically reducing performance as a pilot. Slow down your breathing, breathe into a paper bag, or talk aloud to focus on controlling your breathing. PHAC 17-4. What are the supplemental oxygen requirements? For cabin pressure altitudes between 12,500 and 14,000 for more than 30 minutes above 14,000 feet, require flight crew members must use oxygen. Above 15,000 feet, passengers must be provided with oxygen. 14 CFR 91.211. Okay. What are the 4 types of hypoxia? Hypoxic hypoxia caused by insufficient O2 in the air, typically at high altitudes. Hypemic hypoxia caused by inability of the blood to carry sufficient oxygen, often due to conditions like carbon monoxide poisoning or anemia. Stagnant hypoxia caused by poor blood circulation, which can result from excessive G forces or a heart condition. Histotoxic hypoxia caused by the inability of cells to use oxygen properly, often due to toxins like alcohol or drugs. AFH 11-2. What is hypoxia and what are the symptoms? Hypoxia is a condition where there is insufficient O2 available to the body. Symptoms include headache, dizziness, euphoria, impaired judgment, visual impairment, and severe cases loss of consciousness, cyanosis, changing of the color of the lips and stuff like that. Checkride.
Huh?
Checkride.
Oh man, when you doing that, I'm like, I thought you were doing like comedic stuff. I'm like, what the fuck?
No. However, by the time these symptoms are present, the pilot would likely be too impaired to notice them. Prevention through pre-flight planning is best way to mitigate the risk of hypoxia. PHAC 17-3. Do you use your rod and cones to see at night? Rod or cones. Do you use rod or cones to see at night? You use your rods to see at night. Rods are photoreceptor cells in the retina that are responsible for vision in low light conditions. They are highly sensitive to light, allowing us to see in dim environments. Unlike cones, rods do not detect color and provide less detailed vision, but they are crucial for night vision and peripheral vision. AFH 11-2. Why is a flashlight an important tool during night flight? A flashlight is essential for cockpit lighting. In the event of electrical failure for pre-flight inspections, a flashlight with both white and red light capabilities is recommended for night flights. AFH, Airman Flying Handbook 11-5. What visual illusions might occur when landing on a runway narrower than visual? What about on a wider than? Oh, I messed that one up. Okay. What visual illusions might occur when landing on a runway narrower than usual? What about a runway? Let me try that one again. What visual illusions might occur when landing on a runway narrower than usual? What about on a wider than usual runway? Approaching a narrower than usual runway, the pilot might feel that the airplane is at a higher altitude than it actually is, leading to a shallower approach and possibly landing short. Approaching a wider than usual runway, the pilot might feel that the airplane is lower than it actually is, leading to a steeper approach and possibly overshooting the runway. Airman's Flying Handbook 11-4. You're in traffic pattern when another aircraft cuts you off on final. How do you handle it? Initiate a go-around. Inform the other pilot of the go-around. Return to the pattern and attempt another landing. During a night cross-country flight, you encounter an unexpected overcast layer. Your destination airport lights are not functioning and you have limited fuel. How do you proceed? Communicate with ATC for assistance. Divert to the nearest airport with operational lighting. Conserve fuel and monitor remaining fuel closely. 14 CFR 91.3. What is the minimum altitude over a national wildlife refuge? 2,000 feet above the surface. What are the minimum safe altitudes? Over congested areas, 1,000 feet above the highest obstacle within a horizontal radius of 2,000 feet. Over other than congested areas, 500 feet above the surface. Over open water, sparsely populated areas, no closer than 500 feet to any person, vessel, or vehicle or structure. Anywhere in altitude that allows an engine out landing that does not endanger people or property on the surface. 14 CFR 91.119. Okay. What is the purpose of using flight following service during a cross-country flight? To receive traffic advisories, weather updates, special use airspace status, assistance from ATC for a safer flight. FAA-H-8083-25CU. What's the difference between a VOR radial and a bearing? A radial is a line extending outward from a VOR station, while a bearing is a line to a VOR station. Radial is outward from a VOR, while bearing is a line to a VOR station. Airman Flying Handbook 1622. How do you estimate fuel consumption for a cross-country flight? By calculating the estimated flight time in hours, multiplying by the aircraft's fuel burn rate per hour, and considering reserve fuel requirements. Airman's Flying Handbook 16-11. What factors should you consider when choosing a cruising altitude for a cross-country flight? Wind direction and speed, aircraft performance, airspace structure, weather conditions, terrain, obstructions, emergency landing options. Airman's Flying Handbook 16-20. What are the magnetic course cruise altitudes when flying above 3,000 feet? When flying on a magnetic course of 0,179 degrees, you must maintain an odd 1,000-foot MSL altitude plus 500 feet. When flying on a magnetic course of 180 through 359 degrees, you must maintain an even 1,000-foot MSL altitude plus 500 feet. Airman's Flying Handbook 16-20. How do you determine the true course for your cross-country route? Begin by drawing your desired flight path on the sectional chart between your departure and destination points. Align the straight edge of the plotter along your course line. Find the green markings where your course crosses the nearest line of longitude. This gives you the true course measured in relative to the true north. After determining the true course, you will need to account for magnetic variation in your area. This is different between true north and this is the difference between true north and magnetic north, as shown by isogonic lines on the chart. Airman's Flying Handbook 16-5. What are the minimum fuel reserves for a VFR day and night flight? Day 30 minutes, night 45. How often does GPS database need to be updated? The GPS database should be updated every 28 minutes or 28 days to ensure it contains the latest navigational information. FAA-H-8083. Is there a difference between RNAV and GPS? RNAV, area navigation, allows aircraft to fly any desired path within the coverage of ground or space-based navigation aids. 90 direct routes. GPS is a type of RNAV that uses satellite signals. Other types of RNAV exist but are less common in modern general aviation. AFH 16-28. What is WAS and how does it enhance your navigation? The Wide Area Augmentation System provides additional accuracy and reliability to GPS signals by using go-around reference stations, geostationary satellites, FAA-H-8083. How many satellites are required for a GPS receiver to determine a 3D position? A minimum of 4 satellites is required to determine a 3D position. What is a wind correction angle? The angle added to or subtracted from the course to maintain a desired track due to wind. What is RIME in GPS navigation? Receiver Autonomous Integrated Monitoring, a feature that ensures GPS signal integrity. What is GPS and how does it work? GPS Global Positioning System uses a network of satellites that transmit signals to a GPS receiver. These signals contain the exact time they were sent. Since radio signals travel at the speed of light, the receiver can determine each satellite's distance using time and speed. Then it uses triangulation to determine its exact position. AFH 16-31. What does isogonic line on a sectional chart indicate? The magnetic variation in an area, the angle between magnetic north and true north. How would you use a VOR to cross-check position? By tuning into 2 VOR stations, centering each CDI with a from indication, reading the radial at the top of each CDI, and plotting the radials out on a chart. Your location is where the 2 radials intersect. Airman's Flying Handbook 16-23. What is the purpose of a VFR checkpoint on sectional chart? A reference point for pilots to report their position to ATC. Airman's Flying Handbook 16-12. What are Victor Airways? highways in the sky. Low altitude airways based on VR navigation aids, highways in the sky. Airman's Flying Handbook 16-28. What is latitude and longitude? Latitude is the distance north or south of the equator. Longitude is the distance east or west of the prime meridian. Airman's Flying Handbook 16-3. What information is found on a VFR sectional chart? Airports, airspace, navigational aids, topographical features, topographical features. What is pilotage and dead reckoning? Pilotage is navigation by using visual references to landmarks. Dead reckoning is a method of navigating based on computing directional and distance from a known position. Airman's Flying Handbook 16-12. How can you identify a VOR station using navigational equipment? By listening to the Morse code identifier and ensuring that it matches the Morse code listed on the VFR sectional for that VOR. Airman's Flying Handbook 16-8. The Morse code will be like small dots for short, long lines for long on the sectional chart. How do you calculate magnetic heading from the true heading? Magnetic heading equals true heading plus magnetic variation. Add westerly variation, subtract easterly variation. Memory aid, west is best, east is least. Airman Flying Handbook 16-5. What is the difference between true course and magnetic course? True course is the aircraft's path over the ground measured relative to the true north. Magnetic course is the true course corrected for magnetic variation. Airman Flying Handbook 16-5. How should a pilot perform a crosswind landing? Use the crab method or wing low method to maintain runway alignment and compensate for crosswinds during landing. Airman Flying Handbook 9-3. How can EFBs assist with pre-flight planning? EFBs provide access to up-to-date weather notams and flight plans They also offer route calculations, weight and balance checks, and flight planning help, helping to streamline pre-flight tasks. AC 120-76 Delta. What are the risks associated with relying solely on FPS, electric flying handbooks? Electric flight books can experience technical issues such as battery failure, software malfunctions, or loss of connectivity. Pilots must always have a backup plan, including alternate devices or paper charts. What FAA guidelines exist for using EFBs during flight? The FAA permits the use of EFBs in all phases of flight as long as they do not interfere with safe aircraft operation. They must be secured and readily accessible, and backup procedures should be in place in case EFB failure. AC 120-76 Delta. How does an EFB enhance situational awareness? How can an EFB degrade situational awareness? By integrating various sources of flight information into a single, easy-to-access platform. However, an EFB can degrade situational awareness in a simulator In a similar way to distracted driving, a pilot who is too focused on a tablet screen could lose stationary. What is flight deck management and how can EFBs help enhance it? The process of managing all tasks and resources in the cockpit to ensure safe and efficient flight operations. EFBs improve flight deck management by reducing paper clutter, providing quick access to information, and streamlining workflows. AC 12076 Delta. What is electronic flight bag, EFB, and what is the benefit of using them? An electronic flight bag is a electronic information management device, usually a tablet or iPad, that help flight management tasks more easily and efficiently. EFBs provide real-time weather notices and navigation updates, which eliminates the need for carrying bulky charts. AC 176 or 120-76 Delta. Stop this now.